Welcome back, everybody, to the Garry and Jason show. I'm Garry.
And I'm Jason.
And this is Dialogues and Dialects in Tech, a little show where we just like to recap our latest happenings in the tech ecosystem, what's going on in the news, and sharing a little bit that could help you along in your entrepreneurial journey. So with that being said, Jason, how was your week?
Man, it was a pretty good week, but tomorrow I have to stay overnight because at my 9-to-5 job, I'm actually doing a very intense, let's just say, infrastructure project. So not looking forward to it, but yeah, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you got this.
I don't know if I don't think I ever mentioned, so my 9-to-5, I'm actually an IT network administrator. So basically I manage servers and cameras, security doors, all that good stuff.
I thought you were a mushroom farmer.
So I do that for a mushroom company.
Got it.
Yeah,
I knew that.
Yeah. How about you? What you got going on?
It was a great week. I announced that if y'all can't tell, I will be starting an MBA program at Howard University. So very excited about that. I've known for a little while, but been keeping it inside, trying to figure out when it's the right time to announce that to the public.
Right.
But I'm super excited just to be able to, for one, join the Mecca. You know what I mean? Jump into this community and this ecosystem that just breeds greatness.
Yes. Rich legacies.
Yes, absolutely. So definitely looking forward to applying my newfound knowledge to my own ventures. And then I'm also a teacher as well. So just sharing a lot of what I learned with the community.
Yeah.
I'm excited, man.
I'm going to tell you, if you make your way down there, because I know you might be doing part-time, but you will have so much knowledge to impart on those undergrad students. So I'm just looking forward to First Founders and you being on our campus.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Man, on and up, brother.
Yes,
on
sir.
and up.
So, in the news, if you guys haven't seen, Kanye West had a album listening party. I can't even say release party, album listening party, because the album wasn't released, but it drew some amazing numbers. At one point, I actually believed that before the show started, the platform crashed. Apple Music actually crashed because it was can't connect, and then it eventually came up. But yeah, Kanye West breaking the internet. That was amazing.
Did you get to listen in?
I did. The music, it's definitely a great album. I will say that the music was, Kanye's back. He had a lot of features on there. Jay-Z was on the last track. The production was amazing. I love how he's mixing gospel with hip hop, with electronic, with classical, with just everything. It's amazing. So can't wait for it to come out. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, you have to wait, I believe, until August 8th. They said that he's going to release it then.
Dang, man.
I know. In other news, Duolingo is a popular language learning app. They actually just announced their IPO. So they were founded back in 2011. And funny enough, the same guy who started that, he actually created the security feature that you see on a lot of websites called CAPTCHA. Right, where you have to click on that button that proves that you're not a robot. He actually invented that for Yahoo almost 20 years ago. So his next startup was Duolingo, which he founded in 2011. And now it's about to have an IPO. IPO stands for Initial Public Offering, where it gives the public a chance to actually buy shares or equity ownership into his company. So that will be coming later this summer. And then lastly, in China, I know we've been talking the last couple weeks about China, but they are really changing their startup and tech ecospace. They're cracking down. The authoritative state of China is showing itself. So what they just announced this week was they're no longer allowing any ed tech companies to be for profit. You have to be nonprofit. That is unbelievably disruptive and going to just make people lose a lot of money, a lot of value in their companies, because, and I'll wrap this up really quick, but in China and really outside of America, people place a lot of value in ed tech. So if they can learn something, they're willing to pay for it. They actually don't see value in free education material because they think it's not as valuable, right? So they're willing to pay a premium. So in other markets like China and India, they actually charge for, lessons. Like we're starting to get that now with different platforms like Masterclass and Class Passes and things like that. But they've had that set up from the beginning. So to now turn those for-profit companies into nonprofits and, pretty much just say, hey, either you do that or you can't exist.
Wow.
That's very disruptive. So there's going to be a lot of fallout from that. We'll wait and see. But that's one of the advantages of being in America, a free enterprise market. As much as we talk about our democracy or have our different difficulties with it, at the end of the day, it is the best country to live in.
Count your blessings.
Count your blessings. So I'll get off of that horse, and you want to bring in our subject for today?
Hey, man. Appreciate you for sharing all that news, because some of that was new to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, last week we talked a lot about the fundamentals of being a startup founder, right? And being a successful entrepreneur. And the fact that if you want to be successful, you have to solve problems, right? All entrepreneurs start with identifying a problem and then figuring out what solution is going to solve that problem. So taking it to the next step, right? After you identify a problem, you need to validate that the problem exists in the marketplace.
Correct.
You need to validate that this problem is large enough to provide you with a business opportunity to step in and create a profitable business, right? Unless you want to go the nonprofit route, which is an option.
Which is an option.
It is an option.
Yes.
But for the most part, we're talking about building a scalable business through this show.
Correct.
So after you identify that problem, how do you go about validating it in the market through experimentation and testing your hypotheses? So Jason, I mean, you've done this with your own startup, so I'm curious how you applied that in your own process.
Sure. So with Katika, we, as you said, we set up our hypothesis. So very much like a scientist, right? You create a theory and then you test it through empirical data, right? So it has to be provable. And so one of the ways we did that was using a framework called the problem hypothesis framework. And what that essentially is it defines what the problem is, but also defines what the solution should look like. And sometimes you have to test multiple solutions, right, until you get the right one. So if you break this down, your hypothesis is something that you believe, that. So for instance, let's say you have a problem of you can't find your lighter when you're looking for it. You're like, oh my God, I can never find my lighter. My friends can never find their lighters. When I go out, people can't find lighters.
We're talking about lighting candles.
Just lighting candles,
incense,
anything.
Yeah.
So you would create an experiment. Some solutions to that would be coming up with how people could maybe track their lighter better. One solution could be you can make a giant lighter so it's hard to lose it. Another one could be you could put some type of Bluetooth tracking device on it and that it sends a ping if you ping it. Maybe another one is that you create just a straight up Bluetooth lighter that pairs with your phone. So you could make what's called an MVP, a minimum viable product. And what that is basically a very, how would you define MVP? Kind of watered down version, right, of what a product is. But I'm sure you can give it better.
No, absolutely. You've described it. So a minimum viable product is not your full vision of your product. Right. It's not the lighter itself, right? But it is a method for you to test whether or not this idea of your lighter is valuable and would solve a problem.
Right. So I might, like you said, I might not make the giant lighter, but I could create a prototype of what that would be out of cardboard or something.
Exactly.
So those would be my experience. So maybe I get 3 of each of those solutions, and then I give them to different testers, and then I observe how they interact with it. Right. Some people might still lose all 3 of those, or one of those may be better than the other one. So that is the evidence that you're essentially looking for to prove that what your solution is that is solving that problem. And from there, that's how you would begin to create a business around that. Now for Katika, our hypothesis was that Black-owned businesses can't be discovered, and they have issues with sales and marketing. So we created several solutions to test test out or to help them with that problem, right? So we created the ability for them to create their own video advertising, the ability for them to do peer-to-peer engagement with potential customers, and a couple other things. And setting each one of those up in an MVP and then sending that out to our different potential customers, we were able to sit down with them, 45-minute session, and really test out our hypothesis. And from that's how we knew what to build. And so I would say we're definitely probably 2 stages past the problem hypothesis statement, but you have to go through testing those things in order to know what to build. So,
Yep.
How about you?
Man, I mean,
What was your experience in, setting up your hypothesis and how you tested it? Or sometimes maybe it's already a model that's already proven, so you don't necessarily have to do it. Maybe you added some tweaks to your model.
Yeah, man. No, the fact is there's like a million different ways to test your assumptions. Right. So for me, I'm big in like the education space. Right. Mm-hmm. And I could say, okay, my end goal is to launch a school. I want to open a school.
Right.
Listen,
it's a central place for people to be educated.
That's right. Do I have the money to open a whole school, build a whole building, hire staff, teachers, maintenance, all that stuff? At the moment, no.
Ask Dr. Umar how expensive it is.
Well, I'm sure he could tell you, and I'm sure it's out there. But what you can do, right? You have to think about, okay, what can I do in this moment to first validate that people are interested in the type of education I want to provide, right? And does it provide enough value to them to the point where they would pay for it? Right. So to that end, you can use something as basic as what's called putting up a landing page, right?
Yes.
So I could say, okay,
wait, what's a landing page?
A landing page is essentially a website.
Okay.
But it is a minimum viable product version of a website, right? Meaning it is literally one page. You type in a website, you land on that web page, and it is one page. There's one action you can take. There's one button you can click.
Right.
And that button is what's going to allow you to test your assumptions, right? So that button is going to provide some sort of call to action that you assume, okay, whatever my messaging is on the site, if it says, sign up for our entrepreneurship class, right? My assumption is if that statement is valuable to someone, they're going to click on that button. They're going to join the class.
They'll put their email in and
I want to collect whatever information to be able to follow up with them. But the website at least needs to be able to relay that message to my target audience. So that's a landing page. Super basic.
Very basic.
Costs like less than $10. Probably even can get it lower than that. You can do it yourself. But anyway, you want to start like testing your assumptions in those ways, right? Even on that landing page, you might want to test the pricing, right? You might want to say, okay, sign up for our next entrepreneurship class, $100 for 6 weeks, whatever it is. Let's say no one clicks on the button. You're collecting feedback. So that feedback is telling you, okay, no one clicked on this button in a whole month, right? Maybe my pricing is too high. Maybe it's not the pricing. Maybe the messaging isn't clear enough, right? Maybe I need to add a little bit more information about what's included in the class. That's how you start testing. But the reality is, like, there are just millions of different things you can do right now to start testing your ideas, see if you're creating value in the marketplace. And I've done that. Instagram can be a way to use to set up an MVP, right?
Yes.
Instagram already has, I don't know how many, does it have billions of people on it? Millions of people? Hundreds of millions?
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's with Facebook, so we'll just say billions.
Yeah, let's say billions of people on Instagram, right? So it's got the whole world on this platform. And you could say, okay, I'm not ready to like launch my website. I'm not ready to create a landing page. I want to create an Instagram page.
Right.
And part of your hypothesis could be, okay, I'm going to launch a page. It's about entrepreneurship education. And I believe that this is valuable to people. So how am I going to test that this is valuable? The amount of followers I get. If people see this page as something that creates value and they want to follow it, they want to stay up to date, they will click follow, right? If I put this Instagram page out there and I'm putting content out there for a month, maybe I set some criteria and I say, this is successful if I get to 100 followers in a month. If I don't get to 100 followers in a month, this was a essentially failed experiment.
Right.
I'm going to take whatever insights and data I can get from this and figure out how the next time around I can make it better, refine my messaging, content, whatever. But there's like no excuse to test your ideas and launch a minimum viable product to start seeing if your business idea can create value for other people.
And I think you mentioned a lot of important things, but one thing I want to pull out of what you just said was you look at the data and make an informed decision from there. That is something, including myself, that a lot of entrepreneurs do not do. We're so just ready to, hit the ground running, and it's exciting. You're like pricing things, you're writing descriptions, and you're telling your friends and family, and you don't take the time to take a step back and acknowledge or just make sure that what you're building or what that product is something that end customer truly wants and that it's validated. You can't make assumptions based off of our best friends or our friends, family buying our stuff because that's who's going to buy it. That's who's going to support it, right? Mm-hmm. Your friends from college, your people you grew up with, that's who's going to support you. Mm-hmm. It's the folks outside of that circle, the open market, if you will. That's who's going to validate your business. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, especially in our digital economy, that landing page is probably one of, if not the best way to test a problem statement or just an idea for a business. It's your brand, your logo, the description of whatever your service is, maybe a couple photos, and then if you're willing to learn more about this or you want this more information or this service, submit your information. It's all within one page. Someone doesn't even have to scroll, and that'll kind of validate it. And as Gary said, even if you're charging, right, test out different pricing. Maybe it didn't hit at 100. Maybe you try out 75 the next week. Maybe you try out 50 the next week. And over time, you will see, kind of where your sweet spot is. And that's what you refine and then pursue, essentially.
Yeah. We should probably break this down in a longer episode. But there's like ways to also run multiple experiments at the same time.
Yes.
So you could have, let's say, 2 landing pages, right? And you send them out to different groups of people. And you learn that, the landing page that was $100 for the course and had a blue button performed better than the landing page with the same messaging. Everything is the same except the button is yellow, right? So like little things like that can make a big difference. So that's why you really, you want to sort of diversify your options. You want to run simultaneous experiments because at the end of the day, we all have limited time, energy, resources, primarily money, right? So you shouldn't spend a lot of money investing into these experiments because it's risky.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out, okay, what is worth my time, my energy, my money, right?
Definitely.
So you can run these experiments for very cheap through what's called sort of lean methodology.
Yep.
Right. Like,
you can get a WordPress website, a blog, a Wix page,
all of that.
Very, very minimum costs.
I support all of us making money. I support all the developers out there, the freelancers that build websites. But for me, especially me being a non-technical person, I'm not a developer, right?
Yes.
I, for myself, challenge myself to figure out, okay, how do I build this thing I want to create?
That's right.
Test that it's valuable without having to spend a bunch of money on developers that I can't yet afford, right? So in the beginning stages, right, like spend that $10 on a GoDaddy website.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like put your own website up there. Don't have that excuse of, okay, I need to invest $3,000 into a web development team who's going to build this and this. I need the full app built, whatever. No, put up your basic website. Do that first. Validate in the market that the problem you're trying to solve is large enough and will bring money into the bank account.
Yes, and I would say you should honestly not spend over $100, especially if you're doing it yourself. You probably spend less than that. Yeah. But like Gary said, go on GoDaddy, go on these platforms that are out there that are very user friendly. You don't need to know HTML and coding anymore to build websites. A lot of them are very, user friendly. You can drag and drop. They have a lot of customization, different things like that. So yes. So
I spent $30 on a website.
There you go.
Scaled it up to the point where I had international users discovering my business and reaching out, inquiring how to use my services.
There you go.
So it is possible. I just want to make sure,
possible, we're not talking in theory. Like this is a living proof example.
Everything we share, we have done ourselves in one way or another. But yeah, it's absolutely possible. Now, when you get to the point where you're like, okay, I validated this, I need to scale it up. That's when you need to invest in, a broader array of, your team for one, technology, all that kind of stuff. But the beauty of technology is that it can be scaled up very efficiently. So, man.
I would say the last thing, two other tools I want to suggest to the audience. You can build an MVP using PowerPoint. You can create slides that essentially mimic a website. With that said, you could also use Canva.
You know how much money I have raised just from slides? Just pitching my business. Like, hey, everybody, here's what it's going to be. Here's the value it's going to create. Here's the market, right? And then I've won at this point, over $50,000.
Just from PowerPoint, people.
Just from some slides.
From slides.
The technology didn't exist yet. The platform didn't exist yet. It's possible. Sorry, go ahead.
It's conveying your thought. No, I'm glad you stopped me because it's, again, validated, proof that what we're saying it's true, He's won over $50,000 just providing a deck. Deck is another word for slides. Just conveying a concept, an idea, a vision, and people bought into that vision and wanted to invest into it. So the last tool I wanted to mention was Figma. Figma is a free tool. It's a design tool. I highly suggest if you're trying to just learn how to create graphics, go onto YouTube. There's hundreds, if not thousands of free tutorials. You can go on there. There's free downloads. So Figma is a tool that you can create your mock-ups. But I would say the advantage of Figma is if you get semi-good at it, you can then actually just give it to a programming team and they can actually build a product from your Figma designs. So I would say that's like your next level. So like PowerPoint, Figma, and then developers and programmers.
Now, PowerPoint, Figma, Google Slides, if any of y'all,
Slides,
if any representatives from these companies, Canva, if you're listening and want to sponsor our podcast, please reach out to us.
Please do.
We would love to promote you a little bit more to our audience. So we'll be waiting. Can I share one more thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Man, I love this stuff.
Okay.
To the point where I'm a user experience designer, right? So another thing is again, you don't have an excuse. Like you can't make an excuse about oh, I can't do this thing yet because I don't have a developer. I can't code. I don't have money, blah, blah, blah. No, find an example of an app that you do like.
Yes.
That sort of mimics, what you want to create.
Yes.
Right. And in Google Slides, PowerPoint, Figma, whatever, even if you just draw over top of the app, right? Make it your own, remix it, right? Copy and paste, get super scrappy. Cut it, print out the screenshots, cut out the little sections.
Clipping tool. Yes.
All that stuff. I've done that too. To the point where, yes, see, this is what we do. And I redesigned Title once, right? And actually it was for a grad school class. And I was like, there's this one feature that I think is not efficient, right? I sort of redesigned the homepage and things like that. And I presented it to the class. And I may have gotten an A in the class. Right? I may have. I assume I did.
Let me just go and brush the shoulder.
I appreciate it. But the beauty of it too is when we really believe in our ideas and things, I opened Title 3 weeks later and they had made an update. Wow. And that's what they changed. That's the feature that they changed. Now, I didn't, I wasn't on the team. I didn't submit that feature.
But I know what you're saying.
Yes.
It validates that you had the foresight, the innovativeness, if that's a word, to create something that will later be built. Yes, that is a great feeling. That happens to me on occasion, but that is amazing.
So trust yourself. And that's why you want to talk to users. You want to talk to the problem owners.
And that, not to cut you off, but because you got me stirred up now.
Here we go.
Because that leads to a bigger principle of mine, which is no idea is original. Whatever idea that you have, someone else has probably already thought of it. It probably does exist somewhere in the world. You haven't found it, they haven't executed, or you haven't executed, but it exists. Now, the difference is who's going to bring it to market successfully. The same, I mean, there's tons of examples of different products that have come out over the years. And when it first came out, it wasn't a hit. But then it came out again as either another name or rebranded or in a different packaging. Success. Mm-hmm. So, one, don't be afraid to share your ideas with people. Because I think a lot of people have that. They're like, they have a great idea. They're like, I don't know who to talk to because someone's going to steal my idea. No one can execute your idea better than you.
Yeah.
Two is, really just don't be afraid to jump into the water. Like, I would say that is for folks that kind of have that entrepreneur bug or they maybe want to start a business. That is probably the biggest hindrance is I'm not sure if I should share this or I can share this. So it's your idea. You can execute on it. Don't be afraid to share it. You can do it.
One more addition. This is a great conversation.
Great conversation.
Another issue we certainly could. Yeah. Another issue we have in our community is we come up with these ideas, mm-hmm. right? And in our own minds, we might talk ourselves out of following through with them because we say, oh, this exists in one way or another.
Yes, that too.
And then also, maybe we tell someone about it and they say, oh, well, doesn't that already exist here, here, and here?
And they put doubt into your mind.
And they put doubt into your mind. But, okay, if I told you, I want to go to a coffee shop, how many coffee shops are there in West Philly?
Exactly.
A lot.
A whole lot.
And they all make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have their own brand.
Yep.
They have their own target audience. That's the thing. The execution is what sets you apart. There will always be competition. Like if you have an idea for something and it's like the first of its kind, it doesn't exist, like it's not been tested in the market before, right. That honestly sometimes can be a bad sign.
Yes.
It's not been proven yet.
Right.
But if you say, hey, I want to open up a fast food restaurant, you know how much money fast food brings in? Like everybody eats.
Everyone eats.
Everybody
eats.
A
human necessity.
That's it. So that's one of the best opportunities you can tap into mm-hmm. is those things that are proven into the market and have these, very, very large market sizes so that you can step in and, capture a portion of that.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had.
That's all I got. Today. I'm feeling great, man.
I want to keep the conversation going, but I don't want it to go too long because I know, folks have stuff to do. But I'm excited for next week. We're going to get back on our regular schedule too. We had some technical difficulties to put lightly, but we are back. I know. I wish we recorded that, but we had full SD cards, batteries dying. It was just a mess, but. We are back. Very excited, glad that we got a chance to do this show today. Our problem hypothesis statement. I think we gave you guys a lot of tidbits, some tools, some resources for you to go out and try. And if you have any questions or comments for Garry and I, feel free to leave them in the section below. And
if anyone's interested in sponsoring the podcast, please just DM us. I'm telling you.
That's right.
We're open.
We are open. We will not shoot you down.
All right, good people.
All right, folks. Take care.
See
you next week. Peace.